You guys, we have got to talk about Sydney Sweeney because she just did a recent interview and everyone is talking about what she had to say because she's been in so much controversy. Now, there's a lot of stuff she didn't want to comment on, but she did address the internet's reaction to her bathwater soap. We're going to get into everything else that was discussed in this interview that she had to say since she's been in quite a bit of drama recently. So it all started with Sydney Sweeney's new campaign with American Eagle. She is the current face of their latest denim drop. And the ad featured Sydney in full-on denim, jacket, jeans, the whole thing. And she says, jeans are passed down, hair color, personality, eye color. And then she ends by saying, my jeans are blue. The whole campaign is about Sydney Sweeney having great jeans. But the internet started dissecting the phrasing, especially considering Sydney is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman in an ad focusing on great jeans. Tweets were flying around accusing the ad of promoting eugenics, and the backlash got super loud because people were just like, are you trying to say that blonde hair and blue eyes is superior here? It became this whole big drama, and American Eagle was faced with so much backlash. They did put out a statement saying that at the end of the day, the ad was just about the jeans, the clothes, not the jeans. But after the ad drama, people started to dig into Sydney's political affiliations. It was then reported that she was registered as a Republican in Florida back in 2024. And that just added fuel to the fire. Conservative commentators started praising her. Even Donald Trump chimed in, allegedly calling the ad fantastic and praising Sydney. People started remembering this party that she attended where her family was wearing Trump supporter hats. So this little denim campaign had just spiraled into so much more. So how did Sydney respond? Well, she didn't. But she was definitely facing a lot of backlash. Even in person, people were asking her about this ad. She was not giving a comment. But she does seem to be talking about some criticism that she's faced this year, and how it's mostly coming from women. In her first interview since the controversy with the Wall Street Journal, she straight up refused to talk about the recent American Eagle ad, the backlash, or her political registration. I mean, there was a lot of things that she wasn't addressing in this interview. I'm not going to lie, a lot of things were no comment. Not even like a vague PR response, just no comment. However, she did choose to talk about the bathwater soap moment that went down recently, which, if you didn't hear earlier this year, Sydney had started selling soap made with her bathwater. And it got some weird responses, with people feeling like she was sexualizing herself, and also just saying yes to every freaking brand deal that came through. The partnership was with this brand, Dr. Squatch, and they did ask her if she had equity in this brand, and she didn't respond to that comment. But that would be interesting to know, like, if she was having that written up in her contracts and she was getting a little slice of this company and it wasn't just like a one-off brand deal. Now, when it came to the release of this soap, it did get a lot of backlash, like I said, but there was also a side that was saying that this was kind of a funny way for her to respond to those who have sexualized her in the past, and that this was her, in a way, taking the power into her own hands. But most were calling her a sellout. Now, when talking about this with the Wall Street Journal, she said that the criticism she got over it was mostly from other women, which she found interesting, definitely making it seem like she was hinting at the idea that she is facing some internalized misogyny online. She said it was mainly the girls making comments about it, which I thought was really interesting. She says they all love the idea of Jacob Elordi's bathwater, a reference to a racy scene in the movie Saltburn. Now, when it comes to Jacob Elordi, after the release of the film Saltburn, a particularly shocking bathtub scene featuring Jacob Elordi's character went viral, and it ultimately inspired a lot of people to create a Jacob Elordi's bathwater candle, which seems to be what Sydney is referencing here. The fact that people ate this candle up whereas when she came out with the candle, they did not like it. Now, if you guys didn't see this movie, in the film, Jacob's character does a little something to himself while he's in the bath, and then Barry Keoghan's character goes and drinks and licks up that bathtub when he is done. People talked about Jacob's bathwater a ton after this, and people even made these candles, you guys, joking about Jacob Elordi's bathwater. And when he appeared on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, while he was doing a press tour for this film, he was gifted one of these candles and he joked about it smelling like detergent. But Sydney was comparing the fact that everyone loved the idea of his candle compared to hers, which people have defended that he was never actually behind creating any of these candles, in that the movie scene made it make sense as to why these candles were created because they were making a reference to the movie. And the candles also didn't have anything to do with Jacob's actual bathwater. Whereas with Sydney, it was kind of random for her to make a bathwater soap made with her bathwater, which kind of gave people a vibe like she was selling used undies or something. I don't think she should be shamed for selling her soap, but I think that it just felt more random for her to do than Jacob. And so that comparison doesn't exactly match up with what she's saying. But according to the Wall Street Journal, the soap are actually reselling for $1,500. So she knew it was going to be something worthwhile to someone out there, that's for sure. Now, in other controversies, people have wondered about her connection to Jeff Bezos, particularly after attending his lavish wedding to Lauren Sanchez in Venice. Many were confused by her presence at the high-profile event, given that she's not known to be part of their social circle. A source told Page Six that Sydney showed up more out of professional courtesy, describing her attendance as paying respects to the boss, which immediately sparked speculation about a deeper business connection between her and Bezos. The speculation was further fueled by reports that Sydney is preparing to launch a luxury lingerie brand, and it's allegedly being backed by a firm funded in part by Jeff Bezos. People were coming for her association with Bezos, which mostly comes from what he represents in the public eye. Bezos, as the founder of Amazon and one of the richest men in the world, is often associated with extreme wealth disparity, labor controversies, and criticisms around corporate ethics. Many view him as a symbol of capitalism at its most excessive, and any celebrities seen aligning with him are often questioned morally. They said that she declined to comment on the future potential partnership that they might be working on, but it does sound like she is paying attention to what people say about her, especially online. As the Wall Street Journal wrote at the Pottery Studio, she says she pays attention to the online chatter, but she doesn't let it bother her. I think it's important to have a finger on the pulse of what people are saying because everything is a conversation with the audience, she says. Something she did address in the interview, though, was this constant narrative that's talked about when her name comes up, regarding a 2022 interview she did where she admitted that she couldn't afford to take 6 months off from work. Despite her growing fame at the time, thanks to her roles in Euphoria and The White Lotus, she revealed that the financial realities of being a working actress, especially one in the streaming age, were far from glamorous. She explained that her income wasn't nearly as large as people assumed, especially after paying her agents, lawyers, publicists, and mortgage. Her transparency led to an unexpected wave of backlash, with many online questioning how a successful TV star could be struggling financially, and others seeing it as a bit tone-deaf, especially because a lot of people were struggling to make ends meet at this time. And it was also coming out that she had just purchased a multi-million-dollar home, so people were like, live below your means or something. Like, they just didn't love the way that they were hearing this story being told. Though it seems she was just trying to say, if I don't work, I can't maintain my lifestyle. But people didn't love the way that it was coming out. But fast forward to now, and it still gets brought up sometimes. And in this interview, she addressed it as the Wall Street Journal published. What I was talking about is more that I didn't have time to take 6 months off. She says, I was so busy and still same, but I do that because I don't want to take 6 months off. I get anxiety thinking about just taking a few days off. Being on set is my happy place. She tells me Feig, who spent the first few months of the new year in New Jersey directing Sweeney in The Housemaid, confirms as much in a phone call. She loves to work. He says she was completely present emotionally, just up for anything and really didn't bring any issues to set. So, it seems she was just trying to say now that she couldn't take time off because she loves working and she gets anxiety when she doesn't work. But on the topic of work, she was also asked about her engagement that was recently called off, which was an extremely hot topic earlier this year, especially when she went to Glenn Powell's sister's wedding. So, closely timed with the news of her engagement ending. Though they are just friends, it definitely caused some buzz online, because when they made the movie Anyone But You, there were a lot of dating rumors, even though the both of them had partners at the time. So when they saw them again this year, people were like, wait, are they finally getting together? What's going on? But that was not the case. They're just friends.
But they were asking her about her ex-fiancé because they co-founded a production company together called 50/50 Films, a company that is responsible for films like Anyone But You, Immaculate, and an upcoming Christy Martin biopic. Wall Street Journal published, when I asked Sweeney if she is still working with Davino in a professional capacity, she co-founded her production company with him in 2020. She declines to comment. I'm going to keep all of my personal stuff out of it, she says firmly. Halsey has now spoken out trying to urge people to go see her new movie with Sydney Sweeney, because the movie has not done very well as people are boycotting the movie because they don't want to support Sydney Sweeney. But Halsey has now commented on the situation. She posted to her Instagram story and she said, "You should go see this movie because the Tony Toss made an exceptional film in honor of a genre he knows intimately because his work and his vision are greater than the 24-hour gossip tabloid denim BS. He's an incredible artist who made a great film with a group of hardworking, talented people. If you love cinema, then you should know that cinema comes first. This is cinema." She followed it up with, "I do agree that our words are important in this climate. I don't, however, think that it's fair for the news cycle to predatorily rip a hardworking director and his hardworking crew for their film that is completely separate from and unrelated to a pretty dumb advertising take. If it's not clear who the actual people I'm standing up for are, I'm sorry. Look closer." So, between romantic rumors, business moves, PR storms, and controversial campaigns, Sydney Sweeney has certainly had a wild year. And based on how much attention she's still getting, whether it be for bathwater candles or denim ads, it doesn't look like things are slowing down anytime soon. She's got a couple movies coming out too, so she's not stepping out of the spotlight anytime soon. Plus, she says she doesn't want to take work off, so that's just not happening. But let me know what you guys think about all of this, everything that is being said about Sydney and what she had to say in response to some of this stuff. I know a lot of it was no comment, but the stuff about the bathwater, do we think that she was right about what she said? Were people ate up the Jacob Elordi stuff, but they were judging her? Do we feel like that was a good comparison? Do we think that she is being unfairly criticized, or is she making some questionable choices lately? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.